Hi guys, and welcome to another ASMR video. And today I would like to wish ASMR Wishes a very happy birthday. And she wanted me to do a nice atmospheric video. So let's wind up the clock and start the fire. And let's get on with it. Now, what I'd like to talk about today, because last night I poured myself a cognac, put on the 35mm print of an American Werewolf in London, and then of course turned it off and put on the 4K version because it looked better, even though I think John Landis used out-of-date Colorama film from my old camera shop to film it on, because it still doesn't look great, unfortunately. When you think about films like David Lynch's The Elephant Man and Dune that were made in like 1980 and 1984, around about the same sort of time, they look amazing, you know, whereas American Werewolf just never did. You know, he made Thriller by Michael Jackson, and we was having a bit of a music night the other night, and we put Thriller on, and there's a 4K remastered version of that, and it looked absolutely incredible. But yeah, unfortunately, American Werewolf in London's never looked great, which really kind of hurts. But anyway, what I wanted to talk about, which I have before, is how brilliant, we all know how brilliant the movie is. You know, the film is absolutely fantastic, an absolute classic. And the werewolf transformation, in my opinion, will never be beaten. It blew my mind when I first saw it. It still blows my mind to this day. It is absolutely incredible. But what I wanted to talk about, because the film has some great locations, so what I wanted to do was talk about the locations of the movie. Now, the first location is where they first go, which is a pub called the Slaughtered Lamb. Now, we all remember that, right? But the actual pub itself isn't really a pub. The actual place is actually a house in this little Welsh village. So the actual place, East Proctor, it's in the movie, is a little place in Wales that, and it's just a house, as you can see here. There it is. Thank you to this guy as well, by the way, for letting me use his footage, because he took this. His name's up there. And yeah, that is the house there, which they used as the exterior of the Slaughtered Lamb. And as you can see, there is the church where, when the doctor goes back there to visit them, the guy is stood there by the church and starts talking to him, and then he's then, you know, interrupted by you know, the other guy saying, "That's enough. You know, there's something wrong with this place. That's enough." And yeah, so as we all know, that is the exterior of the Slaughtered Lamb. The actual interior was a pub called the Black Swan, I believe, and this is what it looks like now inside. Now, the actual pub itself, because I think they do food and everything, which is kind of ironic when she says, "Oh, you know, we don't do food, you know, if it's soup you want, I can do that, or tea or she says. But at the back, behind the bar, went into another bit of, which I think where you ate. So what they did is to make it more sort of smaller. So they put like an artificial wall behind the actress at the bar, and then that sort of blocked off the back part of the pub. So so it made it look a lot smaller. They did have the dartboard there for quite some time apparently, but that's been taken away since. But the wall is still there that the dartboard was on. But yeah, so that is the actual inside of the pub, which is in London, which is like it's about 2 hours away from where that house is. The next part is Alex's flat. Now Alex's flat is in London, and what's really interesting about that flat is that Alex's flat is vacant. It's actually empty right now. So I think if I was really rich, I'd probably rent it just for the fact that it was that one. Now again, what's interesting about this, the only time they really used the inside of the actual flat was when David gets locked out and he climbs through the front window. Now as he climbs through the front window, you see of course the front window, but also like this sort of I don't know what you call it, it's kind of like a little seat that's in front of the window that some places have, and that was actually really there, and you see him like come through the window. Well, that is actually there. If you look inside the actual real flat, that sort of seat is there in front of the window, and also the fireplace is also exactly the same as the one that they built, because what they did is they built the interior of the flat in a studio. I'm not sure where, is it Twickenham? I might not be right there, but there was a studio anyway in London that they built the interior for certain things, and that was one of them was the flat, the inside. And when David is going through his transformation, you can see the fireplace behind him, and it was a perfect replica of the actual inside of the flat, which was pretty cool. The next part of the film I want to talk about, my Travis Lassance is singing, bless her little heart. The next part of the film I want to talk about, or the next location, was the underground tube station. Now this guy gets off of the train. First of all, do you recognise him? Do you know who he is? He's actually Bib from Star Wars. A little bit of trivia there that you might not have known about. Yeah, that's him. And he gets off at Tottenham Court Road in London. Me and Driver's License have been to London many a time, and we've actually been on the underground many times and gone past Tottenham Court Road many times as well. And yeah, that's where that is, and that's where he sort of gets stalked by the werewolf under there. That's Tottenham Court Road underground. I've been on that many a time. Which is interesting because it's great for me because I actually come from London and I've been to most of these locations. Now the place where David wakes up after he's been out on the night of same today. So that's actually really kind of cool that that hasn't changed too much. I think it's just the grounds have changed. I think it's all like been repaved and stuff, but apart from that it's pretty much the same. The next thing is like David, when he's finally, because he ends up getting a woman's coat because he's naked, and he stands at a bus stop. This bus stop was real, it was really there. And the bit that always made me laugh is when he stood there and there's loads of people at the bus stop, how typical. And he looks at the guy next to him and he goes, "Oh, hello, oh, good morning." He goes, "A lot of weather we've been having lately," which always made me laugh. But anyway, that bus stop is still there. If you look at all the buildings behind it, here are those buildings now, and the bus stop is actually still there. So when he gets on the bus, you can sort of see the buildings behind, and those buildings are there, and there actually still is a actual bus stop there, which is pretty cool. The next part is when David finds out from a cab driver what's actually happened the night before, and realises it was him that has, done all these killings, and he jumps out into Trafalgar Square. Now Trafalgar Square, I don't think has really changed at all. And if you look at like this scene from the actual movie where David is sort of trying to get arrested by the policeman, you can see Big Ben in the background, and here it is now, and it looks identical. You've got the lion statues, everything is still there the same, so that's really pretty good. That hasn't really changed much. And it's a great bit, and it's raining there as well, it's wet, which is typical London. The next part is the actual cinema that they go to in Piccadilly Circus. Now, what is really cool about this, I'll tell you something about it soon, but first of all, the cinema is actually, or was, a real cinema. I think the cinema, I'm not 100% sure, was called Eros Cinema, but I'm not 100%, so don't, hold me to that. But yeah, it was called Eros Cinema, I think, and it was very well known for showing sort of, those types of movies, the movies that he actually watches in it. The movie, which of course is called See You Next Wednesday, which was a little thing that John Landis had made up, and it features in quite a few of his films, and even in the Thriller video as well. But so there was that. But yeah, unfortunately the movie theatre itself has closed now, and that is pretty much what it looks like. But yeah, that was that. The funny thing I was going to say is, if you look closely here, there is a shop called The Video Shop, and this was actually a real shop that I used to go to with my dad. Now, what happened in the very early 80s, sort of 81, 82, is pirate videos, where VHS was sort of had really taken off now. There was a lot of pirate videos, copies of original videos being sold or rented. And I remember where I lived, in a place called Silvertown, there was next to the chip shop, the fish and chip shop, we had this rental store open up, and you just walked in and it had a counter and a little book that was just full of titles. So you had all the very latest movies on there, as well as other movies, just a big massive library, and you would like sort of rent them for like £1 for £1 for the night, and they was all pirated, and there was loads of stores like it doing it, and that store there, the video shop, did it as well. shop. That was a real video shop. Me and my dad used to go in when I was a kid, and yeah, they sold pirate video tapes, which was like, you know, it's kind of funny. Yeah, the rest of it, where you actually have the bit where he, you know, he's rampaging through Piccadilly Circus. They did film some of it actually there. It was, I can't remember, it's very late at night, and they had to do it very, very quickly as well. They had to quickly do it, have all the cars smashing, and then quickly tidy it all up, and then go. But they also built apparently like a mock version of Piccadilly Circus too at Twickenham again, Twickenham Studios, and yeah, so they had that there too. So yeah, so some of it was actually really Piccadilly Circus that had filmed very quickly, and some of it was at Twickenham Studios. So yeah, it's another very interesting part, because you know, it's just great to see, you know, to see London and all the things in it. The final part was the where the werewolf is being chased by the police, and he goes down this sort of archway, and there's the archway as it is now, and here is where the police are actually chasing him down the archway. He finally goes to a sort of, comes to like a dead end in an alley, which wasn't actually, as far as I know, a dead end. What they did is built like an artificial brick wall or something at the end of it to close it off, because I think it just carried on going. But you can see that there, that it just keeps, you know, it keeps going, whereas it, like in the movie, there's like a wall there or something at the very end that keeps him sort of trapped there, so it's like a dead end. And then of course you have that most fantastic part where, you know, she's talking to him and calling him David, and all of a sudden you see his eyes sort of change, and you know, as if he's recognised her, but then they sort of change back and he goes to sort of pounce at her, and unfortunately, you know, the police shoot him. But an absolute brilliant film, guys, and also some really cool locations. It's so good to be able to sort of, you know, be able to say, go, well, that's where that was, and that's where that was, you know, most of the things are actually still there, which is kind of cool. But yeah, how cool was that the pub wasn't really a pub, it's just a house, they just used the exterior of it. The real pub was actually in London, you know, miles away. Yeah, it's very, very interesting, but an absolutely brilliant film, guys. If you haven't ever seen it, I highly recommend it. It's one of the best movies ever made. It's an absolute classic. Brilliant, brilliant film. Okay, once again, ASMR wishes. I wish you a very happy birthday. I will be back, guys. It's brilliant to see you all. But in the meantime, have yourselves a wonderful, wonderful, peaceful,